Chosen one, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now, as each breath draws in and out of your body, there are 5 living proofs erupting in your life. 5 undeniable signs that your prayers are marked for immediate assignment. This isn't imagination. This is evidence you can't ignore, signals shouting through your ordinary and your chaos that heaven is moving for you now. Do not look for the usual. Do not search for comfort in the familiar. Let me tell you what's really happening as you walk through this season, and let me break down proof by proof that you are not forgotten, not overlooked, but chosen for breakthrough that cannot be delayed. First, here's what you need to see. Sudden resistance is rising in every corner. Even when you do good, even when you reach out the right way, there's a pushback you did not invite, a wall that didn't exist before. Right now, people who never noticed you are suddenly suspicious. Jobs that seemed certain are suddenly in question. Doors you walked through 100 times are suddenly locked. I need you to understand. This isn't random. The moment heaven assigns an answer to your prayer marked immediate, opposition is stirred up to try to convince you nothing is happening at all. But let me show you the truth. Not just a little friction, not just an ordinary delay, but accusations you never expected, calls you've been waiting on suddenly going to voicemail. Bills that pile up right after you sow a seed in faith. This isn't punishment, it's proof. The resistance escalates because something is about to break loose. When the new assignment is released, every enemy senses the shift. Right now, as the pressure rises, the very people who used to like you start speaking sideways, and the enemy twists old stories behind your back. Let the supernatural pushback serve as proof that your prayer has not only been processed, it's set to dispatch, immediate, unstoppable. The resistance is the receipt, the first sign stamped on the atmosphere of your life. Now let me take you into the second proof. Unexplained urgency in your spirit. You're restless at odd hours. You can't shake a sense that time is accelerating. Right now, you feel yourself saying now or never about things you were willing to wait 10 years for. There's a driving, pounding, unignorable urge to move, to speak, to write, to launch, to forgive, to try again. You check the clock and it's 2:47 a.m. Heart pounding, mind racing, your body exhausted, but something inside says, get up, pray, do it today. This isn't just nerves or stress. It's not just emotional exhaustion. It's the echo of an immediate assignment about to land. Heaven is waking you because something is coming up the runway of your life. You sense the weight of it. You look at old journals, old screenshots, old half-finished drafts, and suddenly you know it's time right now to act. There is no casual waiting left in you. The urgency is holy. The restlessness you feel every time you try to relax is a sign, a stamp from the Spirit that your prayers are not just in queue, not just filed, but marked for now. You can't settle in your old routines because heaven is about to interrupt everything with a new assignment. The pressure in your chest, the relentless nudges in your heart, the refusal to let go even when logic says quit. That's the sign you prayed for, the signal you are next in line for the immediate move. Let me break this down for you and show you the third proof. Repeated confirmations that bombard you from all angles. Right now, everywhere you turn, the same word, the same number, the same scripture, the same phrase keeps showing up. You scroll social media and every other post says exactly the line you were thinking about. You turn on the radio or drive past a billboard and there it is. Confirmation so loud it unnerves you. People you barely know bring it up in casual conversation. You open a book and the very sentence you needed jumps out. This is not coincidence. This is not simply your focus finding what it wants to see. These are supernatural breadcrumbs dropped by heaven to make sure you don't miss your immediate assignment when it comes. Listen carefully. When your prayers have been marked for immediate delivery, God knows you will question yourself. You will doubt the timing. You will second-guess every nudge. That's why sudden confirmation comes from the most unlikely places. From the mouth of a child, from a cashier making small talk, from a stranger's email, from a dream that wakes you sweating at 3:09 a.m. These confirmations chase you. They multiply, they intensify until there's no way to call it random. You realize this isn't just a nice thought, it's a summons. Repetition is heaven's method to override your fear. Repetition is the voice of the Spirit insisting, "Don't miss your moment. This is for you, right now." Let me show you exactly what's happening in the fourth proof. Supernatural provision or movement that you cannot explain. You see, as soon as heaven marks your prayer for immediate release, money shifts, people call, connections click, supplies appear, often from directions you weren't watching. Suddenly, an invoice you'd given up on gets paid without warning. Someone cancels out of a deal they were using to manipulate you. Your hands are freed for something better. Opportunity comes from a place you never advertised or lobbied for. Right now, the resources are showing up almost before you pray for them, as if the answer was moving ahead of your awareness. Let me make this plain. Not just a little help, not just one open door, but multiplication. Grocery money just when you run out, a ride just when your car breaks down, an email with news of favor right when you swear you're invisible. The timing is surgical. The precision is divine. This is not luck, not positive vibes, not coincidence teasing you. When God wants to prove your assignment is immediate, provision comes to meet you at the intersection of your need and your obedience. What you could not hustle for, heaven delivers on a platter. Be alert. Don't get distracted by the smallness of the package. The blessing is always bigger than it looks at first glance. Now listen to this carefully as I draw you into the fifth and final proof. Unexplainable peace right in the midst of the storm. Chaos increases, but your heart suddenly settles. Bills still due, conflict still brewing, deadlines still looming, yet for reasons you can't map out, your chest loosens, your mind clears, and you sense a deep clarity that defies your flesh. This is not denial, this is not avoidance. This is a supernatural anchoring that says it's handled, even if I can't see it yet. You let go of the pressure to perform. You feel the exhaustion, but also the unwavering conviction I am positioned, and nothing can uproot me. While all your senses scream panic, your spirit says, steady. That peace is not self-generated, it's not a vibe you cultivated by trying to be positive. It's the fingerprint of God assuring you that your assignment is already in play, and all you have to do is align, trust, and move when the door opens. Every time panic creeps up, this peace barrels in behind it, reminding you, you are not late, you are not early, you are exactly in position for everything that is arriving now. Let me pause and take you deep into the midnight hour. Picture yourself tossing at 3 a.m., jaw clenched, palms sweating, mind a thunderstorm of scenarios that never end well. You reach for your phone to distract yourself, scroll feeds that only make you feel lonelier. You turn on worship, you whisper prayers, but the anxiety has nailed itself to your ribs and won't let go. Your stomach churns. You count bills and replay every conversation with people who may not even be thinking about you. The clock reads 3:42 a.m. and you've lost hope of sleep. So you try a glass of water, you pace the hallway, you run mental simulations of every way things could still fall apart. You plead for God to just say something, give one sign, one word, let you feel something break. But morning comes and the heaviness smuggles itself into the daylight, mocking your faith, daring you to give up. This is the battleground of your immediate assignment. The enemy tries to hijack your expectation in the dead of night, when all you have is uncertainty and a prayer whispered between curse words. But hear me, those nights are where the proof multiplies. It's in the dark that God stamps your file with the immediate seal. and what you thought was a delay becomes an acceleration. Panic doesn't win. It exposes how close you are to the answer. So I decree over your life right now, the resistance you face is not evidence of failure, but the sign of divine dispatch. The urgency in your bones is proof the assignment cannot be delayed. The confirmations that stalk you are heaven's tracking number attached to your prayer. The sudden provision is the signature of God on your behalf. The peace that covers your storm is the guarantee you cannot miss what's being released. They wanted silence, but you received a trumpet blast. They hoped for your delay, but you stepped into sudden acceleration. They feared you'd grow weary, but you rose with unexplainable strength. Every accusation is falling powerless. Every night terror is turning into a morning of favor. Every closed door is a stage for the immediate answer to break through. 5 proofs, 5 signs. Heaven is moving, not tomorrow, but suddenly, overnight, now. Let me show you what happens next, after the waiting, after the midnights that seemed endless and the questions that had no answer. Because chosen one, the story doesn't end in darkness, and the agony of the reversal was never meant to be your resting place. Right now, as the clock turns, as the world stays asleep and you're still awake with adrenaline shaking through your body, heaven's reversal is already in motion. Quiet, invisible, but more powerful than every lie that stalked you, every attack that circled your door. What looked like loss is bending under the hand of God. What looked like humiliation is already being rewritten as the backdrop for blindsiding vindication. Let me explain why this is a reversal that cannot be argued with. A complete turning not just in how you feel, but in the facts, in the bank statements, in the call logs, in the news that's about to reach the people who doubted you. You see, there comes a moment. Sometimes in the glare of a Tuesday afternoon, sometimes in the sudden hush before dawn. When the weight that was pressing on your neck begins to shift, it doesn't come with a trumpet. It comes with a phone call that erases months of fear. It comes with a notification. Deposit made, debt forgiven, job reinstated, contract reopened. It comes through a messenger you never thought would speak on your behalf. A person who saw what you suffered and could not keep still. Yes, right now, God is stirring up unlikely voices to name what really happened. Accounts are coming out, motives are being shown for what they are. The setups and the slander, the plots they crafted late into the night. All of it is turning in your favor, not in 5 years, not someday, but suddenly, faster than you can brace for the shift. Let me take you into that moment when the email you'd stopped expecting lands in your inbox, when the declined reappears as approved, when what you lost is repackaged and returned in double measure. Vindication is not just a feeling, it's a fact. It's the banked time, wasted effort, unjust charges all being accounted for by a judge who never lost the file. But let me get even more specific. Vindication shows up in the faces of those who thought you wouldn't survive. Right now, conversations are shifting in rooms you were barred from. People are telling the truth you couldn't speak for yourself. The ones who sowed confusion are losing their influence. Their platforms are shrinking by the minute as light begins to leak through the stories they told, to hide their intent. Every scheme that was crafted to steal your voice, your peace, your credibility is backfiring right now. Doors that were slammed in your face will need hinges replaced because they're about to swing open with invitation, not exclusion. The places where you were once tolerated, you will now be celebrated. The reversal is public and it will be seen, even by those who swore you'd never recover. Let me take you into consequence, not just for you, but for every person who shadowed your name for sport. Right now, scarcity is setting in where abundance used to flow. They check their accounts, call old contacts, push for the opportunities they used to get by on, and nothing answers back. Endorsements evaporate, allies distance themselves, deals stall indefinitely. It's not cruel, it's just because every dollar spent undermining you is a seed they now reap. emptiness replacing what they tried to fill with gossip and control. The more they scramble, the more obvious it becomes that the favor has shifted. Their best efforts to reclaim comfort only point back to the day they tried to steal yours, and the silence from heaven over their plots is thunderous. But you, yes, you are stepping into public recognition, into a season where every eye that watched for your downfall will watch your rising instead. Suddenly your name springs up in conversations you aren't even present for, and this time it's honor. Emails that used to sit unread become high priority. Platforms that overlooked you need your wisdom, your story, your presence. God is pulling you from the unseen places straight to the front. Not just to repay what was stolen, but to show off what only mercy could restore. Reputation rebuilt in sight of the doubters, opportunities rerouted with your address at the top. This is the shape of vindication, both restoration and promotion, both healing and honor. Now let me talk to you about spiritual reversal, because what's happening on the outside is mirrored in a realm most people never see. Demonic accusation, the whispers in the night, the fear that your prayers hit the ceiling, they're all losing their grip. Where you used to wake up with dread at 3 a.m., you're about to find yourself sleeping through the night, dreams shifting from panic to prophecy. Relationships that were loaded with manipulation and confusion get pruned without apology. Phone numbers block you or ghost you, but instead of loss, you feel relief. The fake alliances are being cut off so you have the margin for what's real, for the people who will not just clap when you win, but shelter you when you're weak. Right now, as you hear these words, unseen shackles are snapping. The curses, the jealous looks, the low-level fatigue that never left. All of it is breaking under the press of a new assignment. You thought you were fighting for survival, but you were being positioned for commission. Let me tell you what's next, because vindication is never the end goal. When God marks you for immediate assignment, it means not just freedom from the old bonds, but fresh marching orders into territory you've never possessed before. Commission is coming for you now. Fevers break, clarity returns, energy comes where you were depleted. New ideas wake you up, blueprints land on you in dreams, and you feel a readiness you can't explain. It happens in single moments. A yes from the person you thought above your league, a superintendent calling about that opportunity, a publisher offering a contract, a stranger in need that unlocks your next level. This assignment is not generic, not borrowed. It's handcrafted for you, every detail matching exactly the battles you survived. You are not just put back where you started. You are sent forward with authority, with receipts, with a story that cannot be erased. Let me explain why this new commission feels weighty at first. It's because what's on your life now can't be carried with the timid heart of yesterday. The favor is larger, the responsibility thicker. New doors require new discipline, meetings you are not late to, projects you actually finish, boundaries that hold when pushback returns. But even this pressure is confirmation. When the room feels big, it's because you have grown for it in the fire of adversity. Everything you endured was training for the scale of this new stage. Every lonely night, every panic attack, every no that haunted you at 3 a.m., they become the backbone that lets you stand now straight and unashamed. Chosen one. This is where God takes what others meant to bury you and turns it into your platform. The mess becomes the message. The failed business, the broken relationship, the health scare, the public embarrassment, they become chapters in your commission. Suddenly, you are the one others call for prayer, for strategy, for hope. You are the reference point for what grace can do, the living display of a turnaround no one predicted. They will ask you how you survived, not to pity but to learn, because your scars will preach louder than any sermon. Responsibility rises. You feel it in your bones, the humbling weight of being trusted by heaven to carry favor not just for you, but for everybody watching. Let me decree the closing word over your life now as you stand on this threshold. Your setback is the stage for sudden reversal. Your humiliation is the dress rehearsal for public honor. Your closed doors were exits into new arenas you were born to dominate. Every enemy that rose against you falls silent now in the face of undeniable evidence. They planned your erasure, but God broadcasted your resurrection. They engineered your delay, but you were commissioned ahead of schedule. They hid your name, but heaven etched it in places you have yet to see. Right now, vindication is sweeping through your story, accelerated, visible, undeniable. Right now, the assignment is released, specific, tailored, urgent. They wanted your shame, but heaven gave you double honor. They wanted you silenced, but your story runs louder than ever. They wanted to drain your hope, but you overflow with new vision. They hoped you'd panic, but you move in peace that passes all logic. They tried to block your reach, but your influence multiplies. They set traps for your downfall, but you build on every stone they threw. They called you forgotten, but you are front and center by divine command. They scheduled your delay, but you're moving in sudden overnight breakthrough. They rehearsed your ending, but your beginning just went public. All 5 proofs fulfilled, all 5 signs blazing, assignment immediate, reversal permanent, and the commission unstoppable. Suddenly, overnight, now. Let me go deeper, chosen one, because even now, as things begin to turn, there are moments when the weight of reversal feels unreal, like you're standing on unfamiliar ground, your heart still bracing for catastrophe that never comes. You feel the memory of defeat brushing your shoulders, and sometimes it's the echo of old fear that tries to whisper, "Don't trust it, it won't last." But right now, against that whisper, heaven anchors you with evidence. The reversal you're experiencing isn't a mirage. It is substance. It is shift. It is the kind of turn no scheme can sabotage, no rumor can smother, no curse can reverse. There's a record being built in public, line by line, detail by detail. Hearts changed, resources returning, doors opening that were welded shut for years. What was used as a weapon against you is being displayed as a testimony, and those who watched thinking it was your end are silently recalculating because they can't explain what keeps finding its way to your feet. Let me explain why heaven is making this reversal so visible, so undeniable. God is not just answering you for your sake alone, but for every witness who dared to attach your identity to failure. For every person who thought your struggle would define you, whose version of your life left you in the background, silent and diminished. Right now, they are watching as you walk out of the narrative they tried to lock you in. It's uncomfortable, I know, to stand in this much light after so many seasons in shadow. But this moment is not about comfort. It's about demonstration. It's about showing that what God restores, He restores in the sight of every doubter, every cynic, every acquaintance who kept a secret tally of your disappointments. The story is being retold and your name is surfacing with honor. Right now, recommendations come in from unexpected places. HR managers who never responded before are suddenly seeking your expertise. Collaborations once closed off are inviting you to speak. Even those you never counted as friends are forced, by the evidence of blessing, to admit something greater is at work in your life. And here's something real. Vindication doesn't always arrive with applause and cheerleaders. Many will go silent not because they're angry, but because what heaven has done leaves them no argument. Let me break this down for you. Some people will withdraw, unable to face the truth of your comeback, baffled by blessings that contradict their narrative. That's the blessing's brilliance. The ones who tried to write you off have to watch as the old labels no longer fit. Their conversation about you changes from, "Remember what happened to them?" to, "How did they come out of that? How did they get that favor, that contract, that peace?" The reversal becomes contagious. Your hope starts to stir up hunger in others. Your solutions inspire people who once sided with your critics. That's the sign. When even the skeptics begin to secretly study your story, not to mock, but to marvel, to wonder, to wish it for themselves. This vindication is working its way through every system that once barred you. Let me show you the bank that withheld the loan calls with a new offer on better terms. The publisher that rejected you is now following your work, quietly discussing your name in staff meetings. That health report that used to hang over you as a sentence is being revised, retracted, renewed. Every department, every gatekeeper, every panel that kept you out. All are rotating, the locks popping, the policies shifting right as your name comes around again. This is not coincidence. It's compensation. It's God sending public proof that private pain was never wasted, that the rejection you endured was a setup for influence in precisely those same spaces. Suddenly, the endorsements you were denied are coming with extras, a check larger than you asked, terms more generous than you ever imagined, a platform you never campaigned for. Do not shrink back from it. Heaven opens these doors not for pride, but for purpose, a purpose bigger than any room, heavier than any title, wider than any audience you thought you'd reach. Let me tell you about commission, because vindication is only the prelude. Now comes the assignment, real and weighty and more tailored to your scars than to your talents. Assignments like this don't come as vague hunches. They come with clarity so sharp it startles you. Suddenly you find yourself connected to a need only you understand, a problem you can solve with the wisdom your suffering forged in you. You are the bridge, a voice no one expected to rise, carrying healing to people you've never met. Watch how opportunities single you out, not because you're the loudest, but because you're marked. There's a surge of strategy, a sense of, this is what I was made for. And God starts highlighting you for problems that are above your pay grade, beyond your resume, but perfectly in line with your assignment. This commissioning is not silent. You will hear it in conversations where your name is mentioned as the solution. You will sense it in the urge to finally start what's been simmering on the back burner for years. A foundation, a business, a movement, a book, a family. Commission means new responsibility and, yes, new warfare. The ones who celebrated your failure may try to test your authority. Don't be surprised when resistance comes, but notice now, it doesn't floor you. It doesn't paralyze you the way it used to. You answer attacks with calm clarity. You choose your battles. You protect your peace. You recognize distractions faster, and you no longer hand out explanations to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This is the fruit of commission. The warfare is now met with wisdom instead of panic, with boundaries instead of begging. You have nothing to prove. Your results speak while you stay focused. Let me help you recognize some of the new markers on your life. Fruitfulness starts showing up with frightening speed. Ideas that used to take months are completed in weeks. Projects finish under budget. People are drawn to help. Donors surface unprompted. Healing comes where medicine had stalled. Your prayers shift from desperate pleas to bold declarations because you sense the closeness of heaven, the favor breathing down your neck even when circumstances are still catching up. That's what happens when you move from striving to assignment. Your yes carries weight. Your no brings clarity. The people you serve sense the difference. Instead of stretching yourself thin trying to fix everyone, you pour into those you're truly called to, and results multiply. Impact erupts. You leave residue, legacy, evidence everywhere you go. But with commission comes new humility, because you know, without a shadow of doubt, that you didn't earn this by cleverness or by resume padding. You remember every night you almost gave up, every rejection that made your hands tremble, every diagnosis, every overdraft, every conversation that failed to open a single door. Every time you stand up to teach, to work, to minister, you remember what it cost. And that memory keeps you grounded, keeps your hands open, keeps you watching for the ones still in the struggle. God raised you, yes, but God is also using you as proof that nobody is too lost, too forgotten, too delayed. That is the true commission. Not a platform, but a call to redeem as many stories as you can reach. Now the time has come to decree the close, to seal this cycle with words that cannot be recalled. For what God releases now cannot be undone, cannot be hidden, cannot be outmaneuvered. Right now, the evidence stands. Your valley is rewriting itself as testimony. Your agony is the birthplace of authority. Your tears become the anointing that others begin to recognize and pursue. The ones who once pitied you are asking you for counsel. The jobs you were denied are replaced with offers you never chased. Those who mocked your persistence are quiet because results silence ridicule. Heaven testifies on your behalf, the blood of every struggle speaking louder than accusation. So here it is. Over your story, over your bloodline, over your legacy, I announce the decree of completion and of new beginning. They said you'd fade, but you turned the dim places into daylight. They planned for your irrelevance, but your presence coordinates the new agenda. They pitied your asking, but now they depend on your answer. They calculated your end, but only measured the depth of your comeback. They threw stones, but you built with them. They wished for your silence, but your wisdom fills rooms they will never enter. They rehearsed your exile, but your return is met with multiplied influence. They left you for invisible, but now your impact cannot be covered. They braced for your apology, but your victory needs no explanation. They feared your faith because it outlived the storm. Right now, suddenly, overnight, as you breathe and as you live, the reversal is secured, the vindication is public, the commission cannot be denied, and the decree is finished. The proof is the life you now walk in, immediate, lasting, unstoppable, and marked forever. Suddenly, overnight, now. Let me take you even further, right into the marrow of this turning, because as it unfolds, something radical happens both in the seen and the unseen. You step over an invisible line and find yourself almost unrecognizable to your former self. Someone who weathered loss, survived nights where hope dried up, walked through contempt and scandal and misunderstanding, and yet somehow the grip of it loosens, the air brightens, the sting turns to testimony, and you no longer carry the shame but the seal of someone reserved for a time such as now. These are not empty words, chosen one. You know it inside. This isn't a season passing, it is identity confirmed. In the middle of reversal, where you used to brace for the blow, you now brace yourself for doors opening unexpectedly, for apologies you never thought you'd hear, for a peace unbothered by unfinished business and old pain. See it with me. Right now, outrage that was once aimed at you cools and dissipates. The stories of your falling fade from their conversations as new things break out in your favor. People who watched you flinch at criticism are now watching you move forward unfazed, handling responsibilities that once overwhelmed you with confidence and grace. Even the ones who looked on with suspicion begin to respect the resolve in your step, the calm in your words, the sureness in your eyes. Heaven's vindication doesn't just change your outcome, it changes their perception. Suddenly you are no longer explained away as a cautionary tale, but named as a survivor, a builder, an example of what can never be canceled or erased by rumor or resistance. This is what righteousness looks like when God decides to go public. Let me take you inside those moments when vindication is quieter but no less miraculous. It lives in the slow thaw of relationships that once soured, in the text message that shows up from a sibling after years of distance, in the supervisor who starts greeting you with respect, no longer remembering the mistake that haunted your record. You notice it in the way your name is spoken now, with weight, with a little awe, sometimes even with a trembling hope that you'll forgive and restore, that you'll invite others into the new space you now hold. This reversal shows up not just as headlines, but in daily routines. The late fee quietly canceled, the child returning home, the coworker who once competed now asking for your advice. Vindication's evidence can be as small as your sleep returning, your laughter unforced, your joy no longer stolen by reminders of who tried to shut you down. Pay close attention right here. Vindication gets tested in the little things first. You'll sense it when the old accusations lose their teeth, when gossip dies for lack of new material, when those who swore they'd never need you are now hoping to be included in your new plans. You will feel it as emails arrive with clarity instead of demands, as former adversaries lose their appetite to fight, as your own anxiety loosens its grip. This, chosen one, is proof that God does not simply reverse the verdict, but erases the evidence the enemy tried to keep on file. What was meant to define you becomes the background for your next commission. And the commission, let me walk you through it layer by layer. There's an unshakable confidence that creeps in, sometimes in little pulses, sometimes suddenly. A boldness that doesn't shrink from new responsibility. You find yourself called into spaces that once intimidated you. Suddenly, strategy becomes second nature. You walk into a room, sense the tension, and know exactly how to bring peace or order or innovation. Where once you worried about proving yourself, now you're planning 2 steps ahead with authority you didn't earn, with answers you didn't study for. Assignments start finding you. The project lands in your hands. The neighbor reaches out for prayer. The nonprofit asks you to lead. The younger ones look up expecting wisdom only your scars can give. Every pain you survived becomes a credential. You are commissioned not by men but by breakthrough itself. Invitations are no longer flukes or exceptions but continual. Evidence that heaven is leveraging your life for impact that transcends position, pay grade, pedigree. Let me tell you why this commission feels like a risk and a refuge all at once. Sometimes you look at yourself, at the resources in hand, the platform, the influence, the new sense of calm in the crisis, and you almost can't believe this is your story. Moments arise when old doubts tap on your shoulder, whispering you'll lose it, that it's a fluke, that you're one misstep away from ruin. But here's the truth. This commission didn't come from you, and it cannot be revoked by them. God assigned you this ground, and what's bound in heaven cannot be released by the opinions or insecurities of men. You feel the stretching, yes. Longer hours, decisions that ripple across lives, doors that open that don't always come with instructions. Sometimes you must choose quickly, and other times patience is the order. But even as pressure increases, so does providence. Team members show up right on time. Supporters appear you never courted. Problems meet solutions before you've even fully named the challenge. The provision is not just financial, but relational, creative, spiritual. You are endowed with a network of help sent on assignment for your assignment. Let me press into this spiritual dimension because sometimes even good news stirs suspicion and envy in others. There will be those who only celebrated you in struggle, who cannot stomach your elevation. Do not let their distance disturb you. Their absence is as providential as your promotion. Every empty seat at your table is making space for people with clean hands, clear motives, and hearts capable of rejoicing over your win. The enemy would love to make you bitter in victory, to poison your commission with a constant rehashing of who did what and why. But you are wiser now. You steward joy. You decline the invitation to rehearse failure. You focus your gaze on the future, refusing to let the pain that built you be the map for every decision. You move in love, not sentimentality, but mature grace, knowing the difference between reconciliation and reopening wounds. This is how legacy is born, when you bless what's ahead so fiercely that the past cannot reclaim you. Now let me speak to what happens as you settle into this new cadence of living. Your mornings start differently. Purpose wakes you before the alarm. Ideas hit you in the shower. Burdens that used to feel crushing now produce only a sharper sense of calling. The pressure is familiar but no longer fearful. Crisis does not dislodge your faith. Unexpected bills, changed plans, heavy conversations are met with the certainty that has proven itself in the wild, not just the sanctuary. Others will sense it. Your calm during emergencies, your laughter during uncertainty, your compassion in places where you would have once snapped or retreated. You have shifted into a spiritual and practical authority that cannot be borrowed, only forged by fire. Those who serve with you rise. Those who follow you feel safer. Those who doubt cannot deny the evidence that follows your steps. And as you walk out this commission, it multiplies wider than you expect. Word spreads about your integrity, about your consistency, about your capacity to see what others overlook. You are called on, counted on, referenced in rooms where your name was forbidden. Grants are awarded to you for unplanned ventures. Seeds you forgot you sowed blossom in strange times and places. Even your enemies find themselves referencing your work because your credibility is undeniable. Promotions come dressed as problems to solve, and your wisdom is sought not just by peers but by those who once competed or conspired against you. Your sphere widens, across cities, online, in circles that seemed closed off. Children in your family break patterns you prayed over for years. Friends reconcile, prodigals return, cycles cease. All linked to your obedience, your yes, your refusal to stop when everything screamed retreat. Let me wrap you in the closing decree, settled in the depths of what God has begun. You have survived the reversal, witnessed your own vindication, stepped boldly into the commission, and now the echo of heaven goes before and behind you, marking your territory with peace, progress, and proof that cannot be reversed. They planned your downfall, but your rising became a map for others lost in the dark. They expected you to run, but you held position and inherited new ground. They lied, but your reputation became a testimony they could not edit. They wished you would turn bitter, but your blessing overflowed, restoring what was stolen and more. They orchestrated silence around your name, but now your story lives in the mouths of those who never met you. They shunned your faith, but your faith rewrote the outcome for generations. They criticized your inexperience, but your results established authority beyond your years. They braced for your compromise, but your integrity crowned you in the end. They banked on you breaking, but every fracture became a place of supernatural reinforcement. Suddenly, overnight, as you walk, as you build, as you pray, everything the enemy meant for evil is turned for your good. What heaven started, nothing can interrupt. What was promised, even delay cannot dilute. The proof is seen, the favor is active, the path is clear, and you will walk it. Transformed, unafraid, victorious, commissioned, and undeniable. This is your closing, your sending, your legacy alive and multiplying now.